On Sunday, March 18th, I was able to go down to Odyssey Games in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and play in their regular Sunday Pauper events. I took a version of my blue black Porter Post deck down. I ended up going 3-0. Super amazing. I did have to make some audibles to the deck compared to my online list. Like the Mesmeric Fiends, I had to sneak in there because I didn't actually have enough Chittering Rats, and I wanted a creature that could give me a little bit of devotion, but also provide some hand disruptions. The Mesmeric Fiends were actually a lot more useful than I thought they were going to be. Having a main deck duress that can also just be a 1/1 if you happen to miss is not that shabby. Also, because of the high price of oubliettes and me only being able to get one before the price spiked up over $40 a card, did end up running one Faceless Butcher. Other than that, 4 Garys, 2 Tendrils, 2 Thorns of the Black Rose, Ghostly Flickers, Crypt Rats. Everything else in the deck will match the deck tech for blue black border post that I got above. Except for one more card out of the sideboard. I did end up swapping out one of my Doomblades for a Snuff Out. Having the extra versatility of being able to kill a creature even though I'm tapped out seemed like good versatility and a way to maybe get an affinity matchup that I otherwise wouldn't have. Just being able to pay 4 life and at instant speed and be able to take out the ATOG before it hits for lethal if they're going with the Temur Battle Rage route instead of the Plane route. So, trying it. So far, I've liked it. I mean, I've cast it a few times. I have paid life a couple of times for it, mostly on MTGO testing, but I wasn't able to hit a match where bringing it in was useful in paper yet. Today's event, they only do 3 rounds on Sunday. There was 14 people. Yeah, they had like 6. There was at least 12. I'm pretty sure there was 14 people there. So a pretty good event. They've only been doing it a few weeks. In the area on Sundays, definitely check it out. They're running MTGO rules like a lot of places are. It was super fun and super awesome. So that being said, I'm going to do a quick breakdown of the decks that I faced. Some of them were pretty spicy, and I'm going to just do an event update from my perspective. In match 1, I ended up getting paired against a opponent playing a Jeskai burn deck running your typical burn creatures with the Firebrand Archers and your Thermal Alchemist, along with Delver of Secrets, because you're playing blue and a ton of spells. They're also splashing white for Corsair and Renewed Faith in the main board, and some Artifact Enchantment Destruction on the side to deal with stuff that blue and red really can't deal with. The deck fought hard really well. I was scraping teeth just to get through game 1. I did not see a Delver game 1. In fact, I only saw the Archers and the Thermal Alchemist. I actually trimmed a couple of removal spells, and then my opponent stuck a turn 1 Delver and just proceeded to beat my face in until I was down to about 6 life before I finally stabilized with the Tendrils of Corruption. Opponent did end up taking that game. It was the only game I dropped of the night. Game went really well. By the end, there was only like 2 or 3 minutes left in the round when we got all done, and I was physically shaking from just the nerves of playing this game. This match went so well. It was so fun. We were both top decking at the end, and it was just absolutely awesome. My opponent played really well. I did manage to take down the match. It is an experience. I don't understand. I play for higher stake. I can play for higher stakes on MTGO, but I I've never had that experience playing Magic to where I was just physically all in and completely disoriented by the time the game got done. I It's something I can't get on the computer screen, and it's just what makes Magic magical when played face to face in paper. It was absolutely an amazing experience. In round 2, I faced an opponent playing a mashup between elves and Midnight Gond. Had a lot of your elf synergies, your mystics, your essence wardens. Even ran a few druids with a cowl, which remarkably were actually a lot more difficult to get through with my black creatures than otherwise would be. Also running well-wishers, the Gond combo, and a few Timberwatch elves, just to, I guess, smash face. If you have a 1/1 that can attack and you get off with a Midnight Guard combo, the Timberwatch can just be X and plus X infinity, so that's pretty awesome. Game 1, my opponent managed to curve out, drop a whole bunch of stuff, including a few Midnight Guards and a Timberwatch elf. Well-wisher gained him oodles and oodles of life. I ended up having to do over 50 points of damage game 1 to be able to finish off my opponent. Fortunately, they didn't hit the Presence of Gond to go with one of the 2 Midnight Guards. I was able to jank it out with Denrova Horror and a timely Ghostly Flicker to be able to eat his stuff, bounce, after my opponent dumped his hand and went hellbent and started throwing stuff in the yard. So, game 1 was amazing. Game 2, my opponent did he kept a very sketchy hand, only having 1 mana and that mana being a plains, given the deck is mostly green. And my opponent proceeded to not make another land drop for 5 turns and not be able to play Magic. Variance happens. Going into round 3, my opponent and I were both 2-0 and both playing basically mono black. Opponent playing this deck very near and dear to my heart. I love this deck so much in so many ways. Opponent was running a Gurmag Angler version. I did manage to be able to take one of them out with my lone oubliette. The Faceless Butcher downside did come into play because I was able to get rid of a Grey Merchant mid-game, and he was able to kill it and bring it back and gain even more life because he ended up killing it with a Tendrils Corruption, gaining 10, and then another 2 drain off from the Grey Merchant re-entering the battlefield. Didn't manage to take down that first game. That first game took a half hour to complete. I had 7 cards in library by the time we finished out the game. Monarchs were going back and forth. We're both gaining ridiculous amounts of life. It was so amazing. Game 2, my opponent fortunately didn't draw any of his life gain spells, and the Ghostly Flickers and the Denrova Horrors, being able to bounce Gurmag Anglers back to his hand, managed to be the difference maker, and I did end up not going to time in the black control mirror, which is a bit of a feat when you're playing in paper. The games was super awesome, very interactive, and a really great experience. So let me know if you like this type of content, if this is something that I should continue doing going forward. If you like how I formatted it, how I just did a little bit of a deck description of what my opponents were playing and how the matches went. If you want more information, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching the video. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing. You can follow me on Twitter @GeekLukeG. This is Couch Troll Brewing.